Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome State Representative Jenna Powell.
Awesome. Hello and welcome to this incredible rally. Who's excited to be here today? Awesome. As we all know, as we drove here, Tipp City in Miami County is Trump country, so let's give it up to Trump country. Awesome. That's great. Over the last 7 months, our community has had a lot of turmoil with COVID, as we all know. A lot of families, businesses, and the community as a whole have been struggling from the shutdown. But what we know from Donald Trump is that he is working hard to open up our state and the country. So let's give it up to Donald Trump for that. Over the last 4 years, our president has fought for lower regulations, less taxes. We are on the verge of overturning Roe v. Wade, and that is incredible. I know how deeply our community cares about protecting the most vulnerable among us, because in Ohio just this last year, we had the incredible opportunity of passing the heartbeat bill. So let's give it up for that. President Trump has continued campaigning on opening up our community and our state. And what we've heard from Joe Biden is that Joe Biden will shut down our country with himself and all his cronies in Washington, D.C. in the next 4 years. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to do everything we can to re-elect President Donald Trump for the next 4 years so that we can continue living in freedom. Donald Trump has always said, don't just look at what I say, but look at what I do. And over the last 4 years, we've had record unemployment levels at the lowest level in years, which is incredible. We've seen huge wins for the pro-life community, and businesses have been thriving in such an incredible way that our stock market is skyrocketing. So let's give it up for him in that. When we look at the right, we understand that we want to do everything we can to fight for law and order. We're doing everything we can to teach the next generation that the American flag is to be stood for. And our president is doing everything he can to teach the next generation that, not only in his platform, but also in our schools. I am extremely excited today to not only support President Donald Trump, but also welcome President Donald Trump Jr. to the stage so that we can support him for the next 4 years. It is my incredible privilege to welcome Donald Trump Jr.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Wow. Not bad. I see Kids for Trump here. I'm going to have to behave myself today. That's a problem, okay? So I have to get them some earmuffs. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's great to be here. Pretty amazing night last night. Guys, you elected a fighter. And that's what you got. Someone who will fight for America. Someone who's going to fight for you. Someone who's not going to roll over because the other side would like to. That's why we're getting results. It is. It's why we're getting out of endless wars. Wars our own generals can't articulate while we're still in, other than the fact that they want a board seat at Raytheon when they get out of the service. It's why we're getting peace in the Middle East. Because people understand, kind of a big deal, right? Kind of a big deal. Now, they won't talk about that as an accomplishment because Donald Trump did it, right? Obama got nominated for a Nobel Prize 11 days into his presidency. 11 days. He didn't know where the sock drawer was yet, but he deserved it. The New York Times and the Washington Post spent the last couple of years criticizing Donald Trump, saying that he's doing it all wrong in the Middle East and everywhere else. Those people never criticized the people who've been doing the same thing and failing for 40 years. They never held them to task. They never asked the question of what maybe they should be doing differently. They just said, well, those are the experts, therefore they must be experts. I think we have to pass a law or something. If you call yourself an expert but you haven't been right in 4 or 5 decades, like, you really should lose that status, don't you? I mean, right? It's insane. You know, it was funny, you know, when they announced the first peace deal, because there's really 3, right? There's the 2 down in the UAE with Israel, and then there's sort of Kosovo, different region, same problem, kind of. So they announced those things, and it was like crickets. And then it was the night of the RNC. Did you guys see my sister Ivanka in her speech? Right? So Ivanka's up there, and she told a little story. I don't even remember what the purpose of it was. It was more the reaction that was, probably shouldn't be surprising anymore, but was. When she told the story of her 3-year-old son building a Lego White House for his grandfather. You guys remember that, right? Okay. And the media went nuts. You saw the sneers. You know, they just hate his guts. And so, did he do it by himself? Was he assisted? It's like, I don't know, guys. He's 3. He probably had a little bit of help. Like, I mean, are you really going? I mean, I understand you guys will try to destroy Brett Kavanaugh for politics. We saw that happen. I'm sure the same will happen to Amy Coney Barrett. They'll make up something. I don't know what the allegations are, but they knew what they were before he even appointed her, like last time. Then I was like, okay, fine, maybe that's just politics, as despicable as it was. Then they tried to do the same to 16-year-old Nick Sandmann, his crime being a conservative Christian, pro-lifer wearing a MAGA hat. You know, let's ruin his life. He's 16, let's destroy it forever. That is why he's the highest paid employee at CNN. You're right. But when they try to cancel a 3-year-old, I was like, man, you know, the same people canceling 3-year-olds have no problem with what's going on Netflix and cuties and, you know, pushing this like sexualization of children. They don't ask Obama what he thinks about it. I mean, he's getting $100 million from Netflix. I mean, you'd think he'd have an opinion. They don't ask Susan Rice from Obama's cabinet, who sits on the board of Netflix, if she has a problem with normalization of pedophilia. No, that's not a problem. That's okay. I don't know what her qualifications are to be on the board, but, you know, I guess it's a payoff to the Obama administration. And that's when I look at stuff like last night and even all of the things that have led up to it in the last few weeks. You see the stuff that relates to Hunter Biden. I mean, think about it. What Hunter Biden did with Russia, now dealing and taking $3.5 million for no reason, meaning he has no business over there. It's not like he was doing anything, right, other than peddling influence. $3.5 million from a known Putin associate.
You'd be in jail.
I'd be in jail for a long time. I'd be phoning in this little talk. I'd be feeding quarters into a payphone from Rikers Island. Do you know where that is? The jail in New York? We pointed out, and there's nothing. So after 3 years of hearing about Russia collusion, it's Hunter and Joe Biden. And they're fine with it. And now, no one wants to talk about it. You hear Comey's testimony today. Oh, I can't remember why the things that happened at the FBI that was corrupt, that I signed off on, and my signature's on the dotted line, I have no idea how that happened. Oh, really? Just like you have no idea how 27 supposedly highly intelligent lawyers at the FBI and investigators all magically deleted their iPhone by typing in the wrong password a few dozen times. Okay, do me a favor. This is always a risk, right? Whenever you're in a big crowd, because there may always be someone dumb enough to have done that, so I'm going to take a chance, okay? How many of you have by accident entirely deleted your iPhone by entering in the wrong password dozens of times? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Imagine it happened to all 27 iPhones. All 27 investigators. High level, oh yeah, it's, you know, Comey's a crook _3, you know. I got the wrong underscore. I forgot what my password is. Does anyone believe that? What do you think they would have done to me if I don't know, I deleted my iPhone. Jail. Also jail. Yeah. I mean, that's always the answer, right? So Hunter Biden takes money from the wealthiest woman in Russia, a billionaire, who is a known associate of Vladimir Putin. I mean, if you want to give the speech, you're more than welcome. I do this a lot. Come on up here. You'll help me out. No? All right.
I just follow too much.
I get it. I do too. But you know what? That's important. We do have to follow. We do have to get involved. I don't do this. I build buildings for a living. I'm doing this because it matters. I'm doing this because I want to leave my kids. I'm doing this because I want to leave my kids like that in America they recognize. Okay? One where there is equal justice under the law, where there isn't that sort of hypocrisy. Where politicians' kids on one side can't take $3.5 million from a Russian associate of Putin, money that's tied to human trafficking and prostitution rings all over Eastern Europe, and no one in the media wants to talk about it. I mean, do you think that if there was Russia collusion, you think if they wanted to exercise that leverage, which of course they would, you think they could probably have something on Hunter that they'd hold over Joe Biden's head? You know, what about if I took $1.5 billion from the Chinese government in my fund, just so you understand, in a typical 2% fund model, that's $30 million a year to Hunter Biden from the Chinese government. You think Joe's going to be tough on China now? He hasn't been in 50 years. He supported trade policy that sent your jobs to China. He supported deals like NAFTA and TPP, and his biggest push was for China's permanent status in the World Trade Organization, which decimated more blue-collar jobs than any policy in American history. Joe Biden built that, and it's the only thing. He talks about all the things he's going to fix. Why'd you wait 50 years, Joe? No, seriously, if you're not just pandering, why'd it take you half a century? He is slow. That's clear. He's slow and he's weak. But it's easy to be slow and weak when you have the media as your marketing arm. When you have people that won't follow up with questions. When my father can answer a question 1,000 times and they keep asking, but they won't talk about Joe Biden not being willing to condemn Antifa. It's the first time in American history. You get into more trouble for opening up your business to feed your family. You get ticketed for going to church. You don't get in trouble for burning down someone else's business or looting it. You know, because nothing screams social justice like a 62-inch flat screen that you've stolen. No, but that's the logic there to believe. We're to believe that that's the case, right? You see this in California now? Well, we're only going to prosecute people based on need. They needed to burn down buildings. That was a need that was somehow going to move it forward. Think about how insane that is, guys. Think about what they're able to get away with. And more importantly, think about if they do get away with it and win this time, what does that set up for the future? That you can have the highest level of government trying to destroy whoever they want? Because think about it. If they can do that to the president, if they can do that to me and my family, because they did spend 3 years trying with me, turns out there was nothing there. Once they figured out it was Hunter, all of a sudden there's no interest. But magically, it's almost incredible. Like, their dream, the media and the DNC, because they're the same, their dream was for me to have done a fraction of what Hunter Biden did. They accused me and went after me and tried to put me in jail for doing, or accusing me of doing, a fraction of what Hunter did. Now, it turns out I did nothing. They now know that, but that didn't stop 3 years, 30 hours of testimony before Congress, millions in legal fees. Not everyone can spend that much money on legal fees. Not everyone can go up against that machine where it doesn't matter what it is because there's no consequence for them going after and trying to destroy Americans. If they can do that to us, imagine what they can do to you. If they'll destroy a 3-year-old, like I said, if they'll try to destroy a kid like Nick Sandman, 16-year-old, who won't they destroy? Who's off limits? Hillary is off limits. Yeah, in all fairness, I get it. I wouldn't want to be around Hillary either, though. I mean, speaking of Hillary, do you think there's anyone in America or the world who wants out of quarantine more than Bill Clinton? Yeah. It's terrible. I do this speech. Hey guys, we gotta call balls and strikes, okay? We gotta be fair and impartial, unlike everyone we're up against. But there's no way that anyone wants out of quarantine more than Bill Clinton, right? I mean, this guy is sitting there just miserable. He probably has been for a long time, understandably. Like, you guys saw that Zoom call last week when she's just, I call her Shrillery because it's just a screaming at the computer, and Bill's just sitting there like, please end my life. Bill was sitting there hoping he tests positive for the coronavirus. Just, please get me out of this. He's just sitting there, miserable, hating life. And he's thinking of himself, in that like blue dress from the Epstein photo. With the red high heels. You know what I'm talking about, ma'am, right? He's there with those red high heels. He's clicking them together like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, just saying, take me back to Epstein Island. There's no place like that. I almost feel bad for them, other than when you see what they've gotten away with. That they were able to weaponize the FBI, the highest level of government. The media loves to talk about these days because we say, hey, we just want a fair election. We don't want people cheating. Oh, you're against the peaceful transition of power. I go, excuse me. Obama, Biden, the FBI, what they did the first time in American history, 243 years, they totally ignored the peaceful transition of power. That was a great American tradition. They totally destroyed that. And so when we ask simply, hey guys, you know what, we'd like a fair election. We'd like the signature on a stolen mail-in ballot to match the signature on the file. No, we can't have that. I mean, think about it. The Democrats, one of their major points, we don't want the signature on an absentee ballot to have to match the signature on file of the registered voter. I mean, no. Can someone please, because I'm not smart enough to figure this out, unless you're trying to cheat, could someone please explain to me why you wouldn't want those things to match up? Because they are trying to cheat. Okay? You saw what happened with the ballots in Pennsylvania. You see 100,000 missing in New York. You see the stuff that James O'Keefe broke with Project Veritas, where he's literally got people buying them on tape. And then the mainstream media comes out. It's a conspiracy theory. I go, it's on tape. They go, it was a setup. I go, they're buying ballots. It's not a setup. When you get caught, it doesn't mean it's a setup. It's like Nancy Pelosi, right? I know. It's Nancy Pelosi. I call her the Marie Antoinette of the 21st century. She can make rules. She can mandate you shut down your business. She can mandate you make masks. You have to live under her rules. She doesn't have to live under her rules. She can do whatever she wants. But Nancy Pelosi was the same thing. It was a setup. She goes to a hair salon, boards them open, does this, doesn't socially distance, then video comes out. I was set up. I was like, I didn't know whether to be upset or impressed. Like, because I mean, it takes some BALLS for the kids, to try to flip that one and to say, Nancy, like, in all fairness, you're third in line to the nuclear codes. You were set up by your hair salon? Guys, I don't know about you, but that does not instill confidence in our leadership. If Nancy Pelosi can't figure out how to not get set up by her hair salon, I don't think she'd do so well against Putin, or Xi, or Iran, or probably about anyone. But they can get away with it. Like I said, they ran with that excuse, and the media covered it like, she was set up. Oh. No questioning, no one asking about the hypocrisy. And again, but that's the reality, and that's what we're up against. That's why we need guys like you to be involved. We need you to speak to your friends. We need you to call people. We need you to knock on doors, okay? We don't have the benefit of a multi-billion-dollar institution the mainstream media literally doing our bidding for us. We have to campaign, which is fine because we like it. We don't have the benefit of being able to sit in a basement like Joe Biden and come out once every couple of months. No, think about it, right? I know kids. Have any of you guys campaigned for class president, children? You have. I would be willing to bet a substantial sum that you spend more time campaigning for whatever class presidency you ran for than Joe Biden has for the presidency of the United States of America. It's literally the only campaign in the history of campaigns, and I don't just mean American politics, I mean in the history of the world, where they say, we're much better off with this guy not in front of the American people. No, that's right, because he can't remember where he is 50% of the time, which, you know, I don't know, it's kind of a big part of being politics on the road. He can't remember his platform. If he was talking to a group of Biden supporters, and when I say group, I mean two. Balls and strikes, guys. He's sitting there, the two people are sitting right there, and I would never accuse you of being a Biden supporter. I'm sorry, sir. So I'm going to apologize in advance, okay? But you have two sitting right there, and he's looking here, because that's where the teleprompter is. And I, Joe Biden, after 50 years, am going to start fixing things, pause for applause. Resume speaking. Guys, this stuff's not that hard. I've been doing this for about 2 minutes relative to Joe Biden's 50 years, half century. Any notes here? It's not that hard. How do you not remember your platform? I mean, other than he's flip-flopped so many times, but you're running for president, you can't remember what your platform is? You literally have to give the questions to the media beforehand that they're allowed to ask you. That same media doesn't have a problem with it and pretends that it's not happening, and gleefully, like a sheepdog that they are, ask the questions that they are given to them. This is why we need you guys. It's why we need you involved, because don't underestimate how big and how powerful those machines are, right? But it's not just mainstream media, right? It's social media, right? If you guys are pro-life, if you're religious, if you're Second Amendment people, how many of you feel like you've been censored or watch your analytics go to crap? I got thrown off of Twitter a couple weeks ago. They took something down, or Instagram, one of them. Every week it's something different. They're playing with me, but it's okay. I got taken down because I put up a meme where it said Kamala Harris called Joe Biden a racist. Right? You know, it's the Chris Farley meme where it's like, I was awesome, you know what I'm talking about, right? I got taken down by the fact checkers. They go, well, that's not true. She didn't call him a racist. I go, really? That 5-minute speech that she gave, that little girl was me, Kamala in her, like, absolute most just sanctimonious fakeness, like, it was pretty awesome. I was like, man, that's just ridiculous. But she went on for a 5-minute speech about Joe Biden's racial history. The fact that he was speaking at a grand member of the Ku Klux Klan's funeral, that he supported busing, and he was buddies with every segregationist in Congress. All of the racist policies that he supported, the crime bill. She's saying all of this, so yes, you're right. She didn't use the word, but everyone in the world knew what she was exactly saying. Now that she's running for vice president, it's totally forgotten, right? I mean, when she was running for president, that was the soundbite. Now that she's running for vice president, it doesn't exist. I got taken down for basically saying exactly what she said. We don't have that benefit. They suppress us and they boost the other side. So you guys do have to be involved. You have to take that to the next level. You have to dial, you have to call. I would say, whatever you would do on November 4th if Kamala Harris was president, because we know that's the real president, right? Nancy Pelosi kept the gavel in the House and crying Chuck Schumer had the Senate. Do it now. Because we're already in this election. This thing isn't 33 days out. It's going on right now. People are voting all over the country. Call them. And trying to. They're going to try. Listen, you think that all of these things are just a coincidence? Or you think it's maybe a dry run to see what they can get away with? Honestly, a big part of the problem is Republicans in all these places don't want to be called mean names. So they usually roll over and die because, the leftists on the Democrat side want to do it, and the media is going to destroy them if they don't, so they roll over and make it easier for them to cheat. And that's why Donald Trump is such a blessing as far as I'm concerned. Because listen, guys, I'd love to have a good, normal dialogue, but under the conditions put forth, the playing field that we've been dealt, you can't do it. We need to fight. We can't just roll over and die because they'd like us to. We've been doing that for 50 years by Republicans that are too weak to actually fight back. And what's it gotten us? Goose egg, right? We sit there, oh no, it's our principles. Our principles, that's great. They're laughing their butts off that you're rolling on there. They're sitting there, they couldn't be happier that you want to be live and let live, and I'd love to be. But we can't if our conservative values want to last another generation. We can't if we want to be able to get our kids to live in America of freedom, not one of socialism and totalitarianism. Right? Joe Biden couldn't answer a simple question. He last night said, well, I want the people to decide, but he wouldn't answer the question of whether he'd stack the court. So he wants them to decide on a platform policy piece that he won't give, because of course they will do that. That's Democrats 101. If you can't win by the regular rules, cheat. We'll change the rules. Conveniently, they'll only be enforced one way. So of course he wants to do that. That's why he can't say it, because if he won in 2 minutes, he'd do it. And then they'd say, oh, you're a hypocrite. The media probably wouldn't even do that. They'd just pretend it never happened. That's what they do with everything else. But that's why it's so critical for people to be involved. It's why it's so critical to be out there. Again, people are like, why are you in Dayton? Why are you all over the country, Don? It's because I have to be. I don't have the benefit of everyone else doing it for us, and we have to win. And when we win, we can keep putting America first. We can bring back our American dream that Joe Biden spent 50 years exporting. We can keep bringing our guys out of the endless wars while rebuilding our military, so if we do have to use it, it's ready and the world knows we have the resolve. It's how we'll keep achieving peace in the Middle East. Not by doing the same thing that failed bureaucrats have done for decades, but by doing the opposite. Guys, I'm about results. I want to see us win. The fact that it's controversial these days to say America first is like the dumbest thing in the world. It's sort of like the Democrats when they said it's racist and xenophobic to shut down travel from China, the epicenter of a deadly viral outbreak. Think about that for a second, because they talk about it ad nauseum. Joe Biden wanted to wait 6 more weeks to shut down travel from China. So tens of thousands of people infected come in. Now, China was smart enough to shut down travel from Wuhan to Beijing and Shanghai. But, they let that go to the rest of the world. I presume there's probably a reason for that. But they shut it down to their major cities. They let it go to the rest of the world. We shut it down because at any other point in time in history, that decision would be 100% common sense. But Joe Biden would rather let PC nonsense dictate ignorance. Honestly, it's stupidity. I mean, seriously, if you have an epicenter of a viral outbreak here, you don't try to wall off the surrounding areas. I mean, think about that mentality. Remember them encouraging, well, no, we should all get together and meet up in Chinatown, everyone hug and kiss. You can't go to church, you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't do any of those things. If you want to loot and riot, you get a total exemption. The party of science believes that the disease knows the difference between one mass gathering for church and another for looting, arson, and vandalism. I am not an epidemiologist. I will go on the record and say that, but I did not know that the disease could tell the difference. You had doctors on CNN literally saying, well, it's different because that's for a social cause. You got ticketed for going to church, guys. Outdoors. You think they're not going to bring that totalitarian nonsense with them? You think giving them the win after the behavior they've displayed for the last 6 months is going to make it go away, or do you think it emboldens them? Because I have a feeling that if you allow that to dictate how you vote and who gets to run for office, every time the woke goalposts move, right? Because you could be woke today. By tomorrow, you're all right, according to these people. Every time, let's just go burn down downtown. That's how we get what we want. It's like dealing with a terrorist or a petulant child. You got to, sometimes you actually have to be a disciplinarian. That's why, Donald Trump, I will say, is the disciplinarian parent we all probably needed at one stage in our lives. I know I did, because contrary to popular belief, I was not always an angel. I was no Hunter Biden, don't get me wrong, but I was not always an angel. All right? Yeah. But if I was Hunter Biden, you'd be hearing about it. At the supermarket checkout line, I'd be in every one of those papers all day long. He's running from child support. He's doing I don't even want to get into the details. Honestly, it's too disgusting. It's just, it is a little frustrating when you then get lectured on the Bidens about decency and family. I'm like, I'm not taking advice on family from Joe Biden and his family. Like, give me a break. Irony knows no limits with the left. If it wasn't for double standards, they would have no standards at all. And that's the reality. So, guys, I truly appreciate you being here. We're going to fight hard for Ohio. We're going to bring our jobs back. We're going to bring your American dream back, but we need you to be a part of it. My father did this for you. My father did not need this job. He had a pretty good life, but he was sick of watching incompetent morons sell out America for their own family's enrichment, sell out America, mostly out of sheer stupidity, because they couldn't possibly fathom, because that's how it works in D.C., right? You become the head of a committee because you've been there longer. Not because you know anything about what the committee does, but because you've been there longer. That's your reward. So you have people on these banking committees and making trillion-dollar decisions. They're mortgaging your children's futures. They have no idea what they're talking about, and it's apparent when you listen to them. They're not even pretending. They go for that soundbite for Twitter, 140 characters or less. We got them. It's like, it doesn't, it literally shows they have not a fundamental understanding of what they're actually voting on, and yet we allow it to continue. So get in the fight, stay involved. It's only 33 more days. Whatever you would do now, do it now. Whatever you would do, call your friends. Get them out. Make sure to vote. Get your friends registered before the limits. Let's get out there, let's do this, and let's make America great again, again!